Thursday, October 4th, 2018, and today we are going to leave the news to the very end, and we are going to visit a couple of places that I had the opportunity to go on 2 little road trips over the last week, which is part of what the distraction was in recording. But nevertheless, it was worth it, because sometimes you just have to get up from behind the desk and, live life, be in the moment, and enjoy what is right in front of your eyes. So let's throw on a little music and do that. But first, we have to take care of one lingering question. The big question, but neither of the commenters on BitChute. Hey, shout out to BitChute. Thank you so much for continuing to support me with your views. And YouTube did not pick up on was those birds. So we threw on some music and we're going to look at those birds. What were those birds? And what attracted my attention was their flight pattern. So let's do it. Let's go. So there they are. They are northern turkey vultures or turkey buzzards, and they have a distinctive flight pattern. They're flocking birds that caught my attention. They don't flap their wings very often. Normally they sort of zigzag, which you can see in the clip. They would ride the thermal and then they would sort of change directions to catch the next updraft, which I thought was very interesting. Next up, we're going to go on another little road trip to one of the rivers in my area, and what turned out to be a nice little surprise for me. So this is the Saginaw River, and this is a shot of Bay City, Michigan. And what you see in front of you is a schooner class tall ship. It's a smaller one, and I believe it is the 65-foot Appledore 5, although it could be the Appledore 4. We were crossing the bridge. There's a bridge in Bay City that is a drawbridge over the Saginaw River, and we were able to catch the Appledore on the other side. There was no real good shots to be had on the drawbridge because there are buildings, as you can see, in the way, and we we're shooting from Veterans Park, opposite the dock area. You can take boat tours of the Saginaw River, just like you can in Chicago. And in Chicago, this might be called a booze cruise, but this apparently was a chartered trip because their regular schedule only runs from June until end of August or something like that. But here's a little bit about Bay Sail. Bay Sail has been providing unique sailing experiences since the Appledore 4 was welcomed into Bay City, Michigan in May 1998, with the addition of the 65-foot schooner Appledore 5 in October 2002. Bay Sail expanded both public sailing and education voyages. Bay Sail provides Science Under Sail, a hands-on environmental science program on the Saginaw River and Saginaw Bay. In the summer, Bay Sail also offers windward-bound youth sail and training programs and voyages to Great Lakes ports. Bay Sail is a 501c3 nonprofit governed by an 11-member board of directors. Now, I have to say, I am ashamed to say that I did not know about this. My mother used to try and encourage me to go visit the tall ships whenever they were in Chicago, and my reluctance to go down to Navy Pier and see them is purely personal. Maybe someday I'll tell you that story. On another day, we went to see some goats. We went actually to a farm, which is a neighbor of mine. If you count 2 miles away as being a neighbor, then, like we do, then, these are my neighbors. And they have a furniture showroom, beautifully done furniture, and also a mill and a working farm. Cows, horses, goats, cats. I didn't see any dogs, but I'm sure there's a dog around there somewhere. So let's go take a look at the goats. It took the two little ones there. They're the youngest. They're about 5 months old. It took them a while to come up to the fence, but they were very curious, and they had such a sweet face that I remarked to the farmer that I didn't understand why goats had such a bad reputation, but I also observed that I knew nothing about goats, and they probably would let me know why they had such a bad reputation if I would spend any time with them. Now, this nanny, I have to tell you, if you look at her back leg, it's lifted a little bit, and she was telling her farmer, because she recognized his voice, that she was in a little discomfort. It has been so wet here. We've had a ton of rain, and the yard was a little bit muddy, and she was letting him know by lifting her hoof that it was bothering her. And he remarked that he was going to go get some sawdust from one of the neighbors and throw it down in the pen to alleviate their discomfort a little bit. And then this guy showed up, and he definitely was curious. He could hear his farmer's voice, as I remarked before, and he could also hear my voice because I was chatting with the farmer, and he decided that he was ready for his close-up, and he was going to give me a classic, "What the heck is going on? What are you doing at my pen?" pose. And then my final shot are these two, and they have such sweet faces. There were 3 of them, sort of all curled around each other like that in a little spiral. It was very cute. But I scared Nanny away. I didn't mean to, but I just I just approached too quickly, even though I was trying not to approach quickly. She, just wasn't having any part of me, unlike her brother in the previous shot. But these two, just the sweetest faces. Now, I have to say, we also visited their furniture showroom first, but I left my camera in the car. I did not want to offend or be off-putting to the owners of the farm and the owners of the shop. They do beautiful work. This is an Amish family, and they're, it depends on the family and it depends on the community, but some of them really don't like having their picture taken, and I didn't want to be offensive or off-putting because we were there to visit and to, chat about some lumber and that sort of thing. So I took some crap for that from somebody who may or may not have been driving, but nevertheless, if you are in the market for an oak replica of an old-fashioned desk chair, get in touch with me. I will hook you up with just the most beautiful craftsmanship you've ever seen, and it's both. They have both high back and low back, but the low back in the showroom currently has my eyeballs firmly fixed on it, because that is the chair I wanted to go with my desk. So those were our little road trips this week, and we identified the birds, and I feel like I've had a great week. But we also have news, so let's do that.
From the Chicago Tribune.
And I feel like
Well, actually, I feel like we should have a drum roll here, since I am quoting from the Chicago Tribune
to
ward off anybody chewing my ear off about using the Tribune as a source. From the Chicago Tribune, Kavanaugh nomination moves a step closer as McConnell sets Friday test as vote. There's McConnell. The Senate braced for a crucial initial vote Friday on Brett Kavanaugh's tottering Supreme Court nomination after Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and his polarized chamber, on a schedule to decide an election season battle that has consumed the nation. A showdown roll call over confirmation seems likely over the weekend. And this, I believe, was last weekend. No, this is today. McConnell, Kentucky, Republican from Kentucky, cemented the process Wednesday, several hours before the FBI delivered to an anxious Senate the potentially fateful report on claims that Kavanaugh abused women, with Republicans clinging to a razor-thin 51-49 majority and 5 senators, including 3 Republicans, still vacillating. The conservative jurists' prospects of Senate confirmation remain murky and dependent in part on the file's contents, which are supposed to be kept secret. Not likely. There will be plenty of time for members to review and be briefed on this supplemental material before Friday's vote, McConnell said to the nearly empty chamber. I hope my senators were in attendance. However, I have my doubts. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley said early Thursday that he had the Kavanaugh FBI report, supplemental FBI background file for Judge Kavanaugh, has been received, he tweeted. All right, good enough. Let's see if we can confirm that somewhere. Brett Kavanaugh and the FBI report on allegations against him. Here's what we know from USA Today, Thursday, October 4th. The FBI has concluded its investigation into the misconduct allegations against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, and its report was sent to the White House and to the Senate. Here's what we know. What's in the report? The White House did not outline what was in the report and said privacy laws prevented the information from becoming public. Spokesman Raj Shah confirmed that the FBI did comprehensive interviews with 9 witnesses but did not provide names. 6 people have separately confirmed they were interviewed by the FBI. Deborah Ramirez, who alleged that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her at a dorm party while they were freshmen at Yale. Mark Judge, a high school classmate of Kavanaugh's, who Christine Blasey Ford alleges was in the room when Kavanaugh assaulted her at a gathering when they were both teenagers. All teenagers, I think that should be. Leland Kaiser, a friend of Ford's, who Ford says was present at the gathering where she was allegedly attacked. I think Leland Kaiser has denied it, but whatever. Patrick P.J. Smith, who Ford alleges was also at the party where she was attacked. Tom Gaudette, a Kavanaugh High School classmate who hosted a party in 1982 that was attended by some of the same people Ford alleges were present the night she was attacked. Chris Garrett, a Kavanaugh classmate who was attended. Let me read that again. Okay. Chris Garrett, a Kavanaugh classmate who was attended. Yeah, this makes no sense. Somebody call out the English 101 professors to fix this, but I'll just do a temporary job. Kavanaugh classmate who attended Gaudette's 1982. Shaw said, I can't outline the details of the background investigation, but indicated that nothing in the documents disqualified Kavanaugh. That's pretty interesting. Who gets to see the report? All 100 senators. The Republicans, according to the AP, will get to read the report for an hour, and then the Democrats will get to read the report for an hour. In addition to the senators, a handful of Senate aides may view the FBI findings too. Senate Democrats are expected to speak about the report later on Thursday morning. Oh goodness, it's later on Thursday morning already. What does this mean for Kavanaugh's nomination? Regardless of what is in the report, the process for a vote on Kavanaugh's nomination has already been set in motion. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell filed a motion Wednesday night that ends the debate on the nomination. Essentially, that means procedural vote could take place as soon as Friday, and a final up or down vote could take place on Saturday afternoon. And it goes on to talk about the holdouts. So, I've heard speculation back and forth between my sources, people that I source news for you from and for myself, and they're kind of mixed about it as well. They, some like 0 Hour have said, no, it's done. He's not going to be nominated. Now, 0 Hour may have changed his mind in the last 48 hours. Who knows? Others have said, well, it doesn't, there's nothing disqualifying, there's no exculpatory evidence, Ms. Ford has not satisfactorily provided corroborating testimony, and Judge Kavanaugh's witnesses are again a mixed bag. There are a handful that are saying, oh, Kavanaugh isn't being forthcoming about his college years, but the majority of them have said, no, this didn't happen. We were not at a party like this. Kavanaugh is an upstanding, citizen, treats women with respect, and so on and so on and so on. So I guess we're just going to have to wait on the senators and let the chips fall where they may. But it is my opinion that if Kavanaugh does not squeak by, Amy Barrett is likely to be called up as a nominee. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to speculate further. I'm going to say, if Amy Barrett is called up as a nominee, I will not be surprised whatsoever. All right, let's plow through. The only other thing I'm going to cover today is from Zerohedge, and it was from yesterday, it was from the 26th of September, and it's by Tyler Durden. Excuse me. Europe unveils special purpose vehicle to bypass SWIFT, jeopardizing the dollar's reserve status. I was watching Montagraph yesterday, and he produced a no frills, no frippery, no nonsense, no toasts. It was not a chatty do. Commentary on this situation, and Montagraph, if you don't like Montagraph, then you could probably just skip to the end to my commentary. But for those of you who don't know Montagraph, he's very creative, highly intelligent. He is a computer IT whiz-bang, just an absolute whiz-bang. And he's no wonder kid. He's been in the business for a very, very long time. He was talking about this in terms of what it means for cryptocurrency, the likelihood that cryptocurrency would end up being the vehicle for the Federal Reserve, given these terms and circumstances. So let's just read Tyler Durden's analysis. In a stunning move of no confidence in the U.S. monopoly over global payment infrastructure, 1 month ago, Germany's Foreign Minister Heiko Maas called for the creation of a new payments system independent of the U.S. that would allow Brussels to be independent in its financial operations from Washington, and as a means of rescuing the nuclear deal between Iran and the West. I see Scott Anthony has just gone live. Writing in the German daily Handelsblatt, Maas said, quote, Europe should not allow the U.S. to act over our heads and at our expense. For that reason, it's essential that we strengthen the European autonomy by establishing payment channels that are independent of the U.S., creating a European monetary fund, and building up an independent SWIFT system, close quote, he wrote. Maas said it was vital for Europe to stick with the Iran deal. Quote, every day the agreement continues to exist is better than the highly explosive crisis that otherwise threatens the Middle East, close quote, he said. With the unspoken message was ever clear, Europe no longer wants to be a vassal state to the U.S. monopoly over global payments, and will now aggressively pursue its own SWIFT network that is not subservient to Washington's every whim. All right, and Tyler goes on. Looks like he's done a pretty good job. And I will leave you links in the show notes to read further on this. If you want to listen to Montagraph's, Monty, as we like to call him, commentary, then you can find him by searching for Montagraph, Montagraph, on YouTube. And if I remember, I will drop a link for him as well. That wraps up as much of the news as I can stomach today.
And here we are back at the desk. It is a beautiful day here again in my little neck of the woods on the lake. The sun is shining. There are some fluffy white clouds. The wind is, kicking up a little bit. Nothing like the 45-mile-an-hour wind event we had in August. The dog is grumbling in the background because she hears me talking to you instead of her. So I'm going to leave you here with some thoughts. Like I said before, sometimes you just have to push away from the desk, close the laptop, and go live life. Go be present in your own life and experience the beauty that is around you. Go for a walk in the park. If you live in the city and there's a favorite chill spot, go do that. Nothing is going to happen today with regard to Kavanaugh and all that stuff other than what we've seen for the last week. A lot of posturing, a lot of complaining, and a lot of distracting nonsense. For me, for my part, I have brand new cardboard to put on top of the desk because I found that my covering was a little bit worn out. It's getting a little disgusting. So I'm going to change the cardboard for the top of the desk. I'm going to reshoot the background so that you can see the beautiful color change. There is a flaming scarlet red maple outside my window that is just begging to be seen by the rest of you out in the interwebs. So until I see you again, have a fantastic day. I hope that you and your family are blessed and that you get an opportunity, even if it's just during lunch, to go for a walk in the park. Thanks again very much for your patience and your kind viewership to us here at Halieus Media. For me and the dog, until we see you again, have a great day. This just in. Breaking news from the Scott Anthony Channel.
This was a very limited process that would constrain the FBI from getting all the facts. Having received a thorough briefing on the documents, those fears have been realized. Second, I disagree. Having received a briefing on all of the documents, I disagree with Senator Grassley's statement that there was no hint of misconduct. And third, we are reiterating our call, given how limited these documents were and how limited the scope of this investigation was. We are reiterating our call that the documents with proper redaction be made public. Why shouldn't all of America see the facts? And second, we are reiterating our call to make the directive that the White House and Counsel McGahn sent to the FBI public because we believe it greatly constrained the investigation from the get-go. The fact that there's only one document in there for 100 senators is another example of constraining the ability of all senators and the American public to see the whole truth and nothing but. Thank you.
Senator, what do you mean that you disagree with Senator Grassley's statement that there's no hidden misconduct? Senator? Yes, sir.
And that was breaking news from the Scott Anthony channel. Thanks for the beer, Scott.